Hello everyone, I'm Paula. In this video, we are going to discover the secrets behind the ROAS calculation. I will provide some hacks to calculate this metric easier and also explain to you the differences between similar metrics that we hear every day. I will give you some ideas about when it's worth using this metric and how a good ROAS should look like, depending on the e-commerce platform you are using for your business. But first, we are going to talk about the goals and how to set them to determine the success of our advertising strategy and how every effort is traduced in sales. Marketing is the process of taking an individual, a brand, a business from point A to point Z, moving them from being a suspect, someone who might be in your market, to a prospect, to an engaged individual, to a customer, and beyond. Consumers are on a journey, and the key to success is to understand and manage that journey. But today we are going to focus on point Z, where a purchase has been made. This is when we can determine the return of advertising spend, better known as ROAS. The ROAS is a metric that is used to measure the effectiveness of a campaign. So this can be considered as a good performance indicator to compare revenue and also determine the quality and quantity of your efforts that your advertising team has done in a month and also compared to previous periods of time. In this case specifically, the ROAS corresponds to that ratio that is calculated by dividing the total of earnings during a specific time range into the number of ads spent. But be careful, this metric is specific to calculate the performance of a campaign that aims to sell your products to your customers. So, if you're tracking your sales during a specific time frame and you know how to attribute them to your ads, that means you have half the information needed. That is the total revenue from your ads. I just wanted to point that out because on several occasions this metric was required by the marketing team of one of the clients I work with as a digital marketing analyst. And my answer was always, I'm sorry, I can't. But why I was telling them, no, I can't? Basically, because none of their campaigns were focused on leading consumers to the e-commerce. And the saddest part of the story was that they didn't have an owned e-commerce and they were not even able to ask for data to the online retailers that actually had negotiations with. What is the point of this story? First, they had a terrible understanding of the metrics that are important for the business. They were completely disconnected from the digital marketing environment and its operation. So part of my job at that time was to evangelize the digital marketing metrics across the company. And now I'm using this channel to help different marketers to use the right metrics to get their business goals. And I love it. And if you like it too, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Secondly, their paid media strategy was focused on the wider part of the funnel, also known as the upper funnel. So if you are focused on gaining relevance or reaching more audience, you don't need this metric at all. Keep in mind that you can use different indicators to determine the success of your businesses, depending on your business goals and the objectives of your communication and ads. You can set your own gauges. Calculate them using revenues, investments, profits, and then we can justify and analyze deeper our efforts with meaningful data. The metrics depend on the strategy, so don't force yourself or your teams you work with to get analysis or indicators that you can't even calculate. So how do you know what's the right metric to succeed in digital marketing? The answer is in the development of the performance funnel. This is a performance funnel and it is designed to track a relationship from start to finish within a market channel. If you start at the top of the funnel, it begins with the target market you want to develop, and it shows the size of the total market, and using some monitoring tools, you can estimate the likely size of this social media market. You can use a Porter Metrics connector to read this type of metrics as well. You can go forward with the consumer journey and start using other objectives to incentivize the purchase of your products. And here is when you can start measuring the ROAS. Let's get back on track. With the ROAS, you will figure out that the more impact your ads have, the more revenue we'll get for each dollar you spend. So the higher ROAS, the better your performance is. The components of the ROAS should correspond to direct ads that were part of a campaign with a direct sales objective. And of course, the other component is the revenue. In other words, if you want to calculate the ROAS, it's probably because you are running an e-commerce campaign. So let's dive deeper into the formula and how marketers calculate the ROAS. This is the checklist to calculate this metric. Revenue. It's the money you receive as a consequence of the sales in your e-commerce. And total ad spend. This is the money you spend on your banners, your Google Ads campaigns, SEM, Facebook ads, Amazon ads, etc. As I mentioned earlier, this formula is straightforward and simple. You simply have to divide the business revenue by the amount you spent on advertising during a specific period of time. For example, if your sales are worth $2,000 and your spend $400 on advertising, your ROAS will be 5. 2,000 divided by 400 equals 5. So every dollar you spend on advertising, you have earned $5 back. Now it is time for a great hack. Create your own ROAS calculator. By using Google Data Studio or any data visualization tool, you can create and automate the report of this metric. I will show you how. First, I'm going to teach you how to calculate the ROAS metric using Google Sheets, and then I'm going to show you how to visualize this number in a Google Data Studio dashboard. I just created this new spreadsheet to show you what columns we are going to use, and then we are going to pull these numbers and visualize them on a dashboard. I highly recommend you to include a column with the date, because sometimes we are comparing different periods, and here is how we are going to track our performance and compare some numbers with others depending on our strategy. I just want to mention that you have to be careful with the format of the date. All depends how you pull information to your Google Data Studio dashboard. You can split by day, by week, by month, on a year, depending on how you are going to measure the impact of your campaigns. For this example, I'm only using the year just to show you. Then on the next column, I have my publishers list. So this could be a social network, or it also could be Google Ads or Amazon Ads or whatever media you have spent money on. For this example, I have Facebook, Instagram, Amazon Ads, Google Ads, and programmatic buying. Make sure you have listed all the publishers and platforms. On column C, we are going to list the advertising cost specific to each publisher. This is the amount of money we have spent on a given time range. The revenue, which you can see on column D, is the total amount of money you earn from the sales. And here is the best part of the video. It's me, Paula, in action. The column E is where the formula we just learned is going to live. Let's begin by typing equals, and then select the column of the total revenue, in this case, the column D. Then type a / to divide this number by the total cost of your ads on each channel. And lo and behold, your calculation is done. Now it is time to report to our teams. If we have this tracking, we can provide a number and start building a benchmark by platform. Remember, the ROAS is not the only metric or indicator that defines your digital marketing strategy, but of course, it is a solid indicator of the scalability of a brand and its products. Now I'm going to share another screen with you, and we are going to pull this information and visualize it in a dashboard. Data Studio is free and it is a good visualization tool. If you want to discover what you can do with this platform, I recommend you to watch our course available in this YouTube channel. You can also join our community to receive templates and more tutorials. For instance, what I'm going to do is to visualize the ROAS in Data Studio, but it might be kind of tricky because you will see sometimes it doesn't pull correctly or an error can be displayed. So I'm hacking this error with a calculated field. First, go to googledatastudio.com and create a new report. Now import your Google spreadsheet as a data source and play with the fields. In this table, I'm going to pull the metrics that we are going to read. So in this example, I'm going to use the advertising cost, and also I'm going to use the revenue. So here I have these two metrics. And now, and the most important one is the ROAS. You can pull it directly, but sometimes it might show you a high number. So in this case, it is a sum, and that's why I said it's a tricky number. What I'm going to do to fix this error is to calculate this metric. It is really simple. I'm going to go here and add a metric. I'm going to create a field and I'm going to give it a name. For this example, I'm going to use ROAS calculation. Now I'm going to use this section, the formula. I'm going to calculate by using sum, and you can see here it is almost automatic. And I'm going to include the revenue metric, and I'm going to divide it by the advertising cost. Then I just apply, and let's close it here, and you will see that the magic is here. You will see an ROAS calculation that is completely correct. What you can do after play with the numbers in a table, you can use the scorecard resource, and that would be really great if you want to visualize this number or make a highlight around it. Now that you know how to do it manually, it is time to save time and automate this task. In the next example, I'm going to share a template for you to save even more time. Just import the logo of your business or brand and start reporting like a pro with the ROS template powered by Powder Metrics. The link is in the description box of this video. In this case, I'm using these three data sources: Facebook ads, Google ads, and the one that we already learned how to calculate by using a Google spreadsheet. So first, I'm going to jump to the Google ads template. The Google Ads ROAS is even easier to display in a dashboard. At the top of this template, we are using scorecards to visualize the metric we should focus on when creating this type of reports. For example, the advertising cost is really important. We also can use a table so you can see how much our spending is overall, or we can see the cost by specific campaigns, and you can also visualize other complementary metrics. Unlike this part, when using a table, you can establish a parameter in a specific indicator. In this case, I'm going to visualize a parameter or a benchmark in the ROAS. When using this table resource and I go to the Style tab, I can select the format and then I can select Show Number. Then I go down and here I'm going to select Show Target and indicate a reasonable ROAS. And I'm going to use the 1.7 that is an average of a good ROAS for this specific account. Well, now let's see how this dashboard looks while I jump into the next page, the Facebook ROAS. And here is even simpler. I'm going to show you because I really love this functionality and I highly recommend you to use different connectors. In this case, I'm using a Porter Metrics connector that shows me this indicator and this calculation automatically. So I'm only pulling the information from my data source. I'm going to show you again how to connect this data source, and then you can just pull and drag the information that you need. In this dashboard, I'm visualizing almost the same. The ROAS, the performance, as you can see here, is the same graph, but I know and I can understand the behavior of different metrics. So here, for example, I have the purchase conversion value, the purchases in a period of time, and also the amount I've spent on my advertising in this network. As you can see here, my parameter must be lower because the campaigns here and the performance here is really different to any other platforms. If I go again to the chart I just created for you and this table, you will see that the performance and the revenue is different. So maybe you should think about visualize or have this information in a table for you to understand the performance of your advertising. And then you can see what are the most relevant platforms or media to share or to distribute content related to get leads and increase your sales. Let's get back to the dashboards to show you how I connected this information to my Facebook ads account. I go to the same place, resource, and then add manage data sources. I can edit it here only to show you how I connected this account. I'm going to the resource tab and manage added data sources. And I'm going to use a new one. And I go here to Porter, Facebook, and Instagram ads. I authorize the permissions and provide the information I need to connect my information directly from the API. Once the authorization is completed, you can find different metrics here. So if I type here, I'm going to find the ROAS. And the purchase ROAS is the metric I'm going to use. Now let's talk about a healthy ROAS. And because it is really important. As you can see here, it's so different from any other platforms, as I mentioned earlier. In Google Ads, I have a better ROAS. And as I mentioned, while higher my ROAS is, the better the performance of my campaign is. So a healthy ROAS is great for marketers who want to secure bigger budgets. If you want a copy of this report or this dashboard to make your life easier, just go to the description box of this video. This is another question that comes to our minds when measuring the ROAS, and it's to determine a good one for our company or for our business. And here is when you need to think about the following. First, your industry. Second, your profit margins. And third, your average cost per click, CPC. Once you figure out these details, you can solve this question by uncovering the optimum dollar amount for your business. So here is not only about the ROAS, but how you read it. Now let's understand a difference between three similar indicators: the ROI, the ROMI, and the ROAS. KPIs like ROI and profits in other business measures show efficiency. How efficiently is our marketing investment making us profits and revenue? Together, they provide us a key metric we need to justify our marketing strategy. Let's imagine we're looking for the sales records of a company and we're going to present an annual report. And different departments have to deliver information related to the spend, and of course the sales department will deliver information about the total sales in a year. But the accountants also ask for human resources data, dispatch data, marketing data, and several data sources to deliver a unified report with one of the most important metrics printed on the first page: the ROI, or the return of investment, which is calculated by dividing the total earnings or revenue by the total spend. So here's the formula. The ROI is the net profit divided by total investment times 100. The ROMI, return of marketing investment, is different, and I like this one because it's focused on the different actions that a marketing department can execute in a period of time, such as events, activations, influencer marketing, TV commercials, social media ads, and all the efforts needed to communicate our great releases and keep the relevance and equity of our brands. Understanding how to calculate the return of marketing investment allows us to do a lot of interesting things. One of the things you can do is answer the kind of rhetorical question that marketers tend to ask. Is paying an exorbitant amount of money to a popular influencer or a celebrity to create a post on social media really worth it? But okay, let's forget about it. The calculation is the same. Revenue by the spend on marketing efforts. Can you see how the basis of the calculation is the same, but the components are different? So what's the difference with the ROAS? As I mentioned earlier, this calculation is specific to every effort focused on leading conversion and purchase to our e-commerce site. So whether you just open your e-commerce on Shopify or on Amazon, this metric is really important to understand how your strategy is performing. Even you can determine the success of your ads by gauging this indicator week over week, or even when you replace a content piece to communicate a great promo in your commerce site. I hope this video was helpful for you and your team. And if you have to face a funny/sad situation with your clients just like me, don't hesitate to ask them, your clients, for the data you need to calculate the metrics they ask for. You will see that the majority of times they don't even know what are the profits of the company, so they can never know how to activate an impactful campaign to increase sales. If you like this video, subscribe and let me know in the comments what other metrics you want me to hack for you. See you next time.